Do mothers get full custody of their children after divorce or when the parties are separated in a paternity-style action? Always? No. Frequently? Yes. Usually? Yes. Whether they deserve it or not? Usually yes. Are mothers awarded custody of children as much as they used to be a generation or two ago? No. So what's going on? Volumes have been written on the subject of how custody of children should be awarded to divorced or separated or unmarried parents. But to summarize the history of how that question has been resolved, we'll start here. There was a time when, believe it or not, fathers were awarded custody of children, back when men controlled most of the property and wealth, and when men were either generally more self-sufficient than women generally, or were paid generally far more than women. The idea then was essentially an economic one: award custody of the children to the parent who was in the better position to support the children financially. Then the pendulum swung the other way with the tender years doctrine. Now, the tender years doctrine no longer exists, well, at least it's not supposed to, but it was defined in Black's Law Dictionary as follows. The tender years doctrine is a family law term holding that custody of very young children, usually 5 years of age and younger, should generally be awarded to the mother in a divorce unless she is found to be unfit. This doctrine has been rejected in most states and replaced by a presumption of joint custody. See maternal preference doctrine or primary caregiver doctrine. Now that's the Black's Law Dictionary definition. You'll note that in that definition quoted above that it states the tender years doctrine, quote, has been rejected in most states and replaced nowadays by a presumption of joint custody, close quote. That's not entirely true. While the trend is moving toward a presumption that, where practicable, parents should exercise joint physical custody of children, don't be fooled into believing this trend is sweeping the nation like wildfire. The pace is slower than that, and it's not happening at the same pace in every state. The trend is undeniable, but some jurisdictions have been quicker to adopt the joint physical custody presumption than others. Some jurisdictions are more hesitant to adopt the presumption than others. And then there are some jurisdictions, even in those that claim to adopt a presumption of joint custody, where the actual practice in the courts is often starkly at odds with the law on the books. This means that while it is truly easier than it's ever been in more than 100 years for fathers to obtain an award of joint custody of their children, it's by no means guaranteed. The tender years maternal preference doctrine is deeply entrenched in the culture, as is the belief that men are naturally inferior parents. Fair or not, that's how it's working. Fit, loving, devoted fathers who want to be there for their children as much as possible still generally, not in all cases, have a very difficult time persuading courts that joint custody is not only in the best interest of the children, but in the best interests of the family members collectively. If you are a father hoping to be awarded joint custody of your children, be prepared to fight 10 times harder for it than you imagine. I mean it. No, really, I'm not exaggerating. I mean it. Forewarned is forearmed.